we've found another artifact trident. I seriously think something's wrong with my seed generation. That's every single game. Hey, as long as you keep paying me, I'll keep coming. Sounds good. But, what was I thinking about? Right. This trident. Completely dumbfounded here. So let's just identify it this time. I didn't want any potential to self-banish or whatnot. We got a +6 trident that's venomous, again, much like our short sword here, but this time it's +4 strength, +6 dex. Huh. So we're gonna pop that on for sure, just to hold. And hopefully this time we can make it last as long as it normally does. Are you hacking the code for these tridents? Right? It's every single time. And it's funny because in my thumbnails for the YouTube versions of these streams, because I port them all over to there, I actually put I pull out our avatar for our character in each episode and like cut it out. And usually the weapon is kind of a nice way to show our progression throughout the runs. But lately, every single time, it's like episode 2, I find Trident, use that Trident for the rest of the game. So something is very much wrong with my seed generation or something over here. Not that I'm complaining too much. Might need it to get through. And almost done level 6 here, which is exciting. We're slowly making progress. I guess I should probably be checking in on how far we're getting into being able to cast some of our other shenanigans here. Specifically, as soon as we have IMB, probably want to have that under my belt here, just even as a bit of an emergency button. Because that way, in the future, if we have an ogre right next to us that I stupidly let hit us in the face once, we can potentially try and do a shockwave blast of force and knock him away from us, which would have been a much less stress-inducing way to deal with that encounter. And not too far off here. It was already down to 11, so I should probably just learn it. In fact, as soon as we're done, last little peeks and pokes here, let's quickly memorize Iskendaron's Mystic Blast. Iskendaron. Why does my brain want to say Iskendaru? I guess Iskendaru isn't that different. It's just dropping the N. So maybe not as crazy as my mind initially went there. But I think we'll leave the Economical Temple for now. I always want to either pop down there and take a peek, see what kind of format we got, or ever since our Merfolk run, I am tempted to just pop down there on our Orb run, show off a little bit, and have some fun showing it into all the altars, holding up the Orb of Zot. But as for now, let's just keep it moving. Centaur's a little bit freaky here. It's weird to have enemies like that where normally your single goal is to get them adjacent to you, but when you're playing as a spellcaster, you spend all of your time trying to prevent enemies from standing next to you whatsoever. At least we're not playing an Ice Elementalist off the bat this time around, because while I'm excited to get into Ice and Elemental spells as we go here, we have found a lot of undead enemies already. A weird number. And so we would have definitely had some trouble, at least until we got Ice Beasts up. We would have had a lot of trouble just dealing with all those buddies showing up. This is definitely a Searing Ray, because Iguanas hit pretty hard at this stage in the game here. Then we'll keep it going. And I guess Shadow Imps kind of fall into that same category, as does an Ice Beast itself, funnily enough. Okay, come on, Searing Ray, do the trick. Perfect. Kind of a little bit close with some of these. Ooh. Artifact, pair of gloves. Don't mind if I do. We will identify these off the bat here, and holy cow. This run is just absolutely bonkers already here. So our Elec, RF, and our Corrosion on a nice pair of gloves of the 8 boll weevils, the most fearsome of foes. But very cool, and they look like little wristbands on our character's avatar. Nice, nice. Very fashionable. Little sweat guards for us. Because Draconians don't have eyebrows, so their sweat gets in their eyes, obviously. And do Draconians sweat through their scales? Also, obviously. We all know that. Would it make more sense for them to pant like dogs? Also, yes. But I've already said it, so I can't take it back. Silly name, Great Resists. Hey, there's nothing silly about it. The 8 boll weevils were a terror upon my village, okay? They're part of the reason Zot even got to power in the first place, if you knew all the deep lore. The 8 boll weevils. But on that note, I absolutely love all of the name generation in this game. Comes up with some really silly things every once in a while, and things combine just right. There have also been many a time where I could have sworn that the game wasn't assigning random names. When you find stuff like artifacts that are, you know, the war axe of the snake pits, while you're like happening to fight your way through, not even Snake 4, where it's the vault even, but just in the middle of snake pits. It hits just right like that. Sometimes you can't make these things up. But okay, this is a very scary situation, running into all these whites and Joseph here. Fortunately, or unfortunately, just to make sure I'm enunciating that un at the start, we keep running into a whole lot of enemies that have ranged attacks so far in this game. It'd be nice. I guess he ended up just running towards us. Do you not have your normal sling? Oh, he has a cursed quarterstaff. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Okay, never mind. Scratch all that. We good. Let's just laugh collectively at Joseph. Poor Joseph here. Forced to slap away with the stick instead of his usually extremely scary sling damage. But again, not complaining game. I'll take each and every advantage you give me. Ooh, and up to level 9 here, so another little bit of intelligence. Also, scales feel tougher, a little bit more AC tacked on top here, which is definitely always a pretty solid get. Should also maybe be fighting those zombies a little more like hand-to-hand style. Save my, what's the word I'm looking for? Magic for any potential scary enemies like this, for example. This isn't quite the lineup I want. That's actually a little bit better. We'll hit Grum and the Wolf. You know what? One more. It's gotta kill him, right? Could also kill me. Wow. It did actually almost kill me. I shouldn't have been so, glib about that. But this one's gotta kill Grum, right? It's gotta. Okay, and it did. Let's do a quick double check. 12 damage. I was pretty sure I had a semi-decent idea or mental image of how much damage a wolf could do, but probably should have been confirming that a little bit more. Well, deigning to take a bunch of hits for no reason. But okay. Again, another tough fight done. Also don't know why but okay has become my mantra for today's session. Always have to pick a new random catchphrase, I guess. No, already let out one Jeez Louise, so I guess that's not a completely bygone thing either. And Searing Ray just melts through all these buddies as long as we know the vector they'll be approaching at. We know we're in a good spot to just snipe them out in a nice line here. Also, sweet to run into the priest after taking out all the fodder that would normally be blocking our shots here. And another spellbook. This one's air, so I might actually not end up using this one, weirdly enough. Usually don't expect to get so many spellbooks in the early game. Normally I'm just happy with whatever I happen to stumble across, and I just take it. But we have our options here, and we'll just get more and more as we continue to work with Sif here. Of course, the big advantage of having a varied spellbook in the back pocket here is for that Divine Exogenesis ability, because it's pretty solid to have a nice selection of abilities that you can kind of reach to in your time of need using that. But okay, doing some manual exploring here. I'm a little bit scared of Prince Ribbit. Don't like enemies that are fast like that. Not just because Draco the First was taken out partially due to a similar fact. I guess the right thing to do here is to hop over to Prince Ribbit and give him a quick little peek. I mean, only hits for the 20 damage at the very least. There aren't any spells that he'll be slinging at us, so ideally if he keeps blinking, and actually we have blink as well, so we can always blink away if need be, cause some real chaos to happen here. You know, I've kind of talked myself into it. Okay, he saw us this time, that's unfortunate. But it's going to be a lot more magic darts. In fact, should I even bother Searing Ray? Maybe, yeah, a few turns. Deals so much damage if it does hit that can't help. But, okay. Yeah, I'm glad I ended up taking this fight because that ended up going way more smoothly than I possibly even could have imagined. And it was very much the final thing on the level and everything. Okay, that's down to D8 already. Starting into our lair floors here. I'd like to find it on, I guess not 8 anymore, but then I'd like to find it on 9, ideally here. Less far we have to go before running into that, the happier I usually am. But there we go. We can also throw on a pair of boots and actually this cloak that I forgot to pop on. Give ourselves a couple more points of AC, bringing us up to 10 here, which is alright for a caster buddy for sure. Nothing to be too ashamed of there. I want to Searing Ray, but we're at a bad angle. There we go. Wanted to make sure that we'd get the ogre on a hit on every single approach angle there. And here we run into a similar situation with all the yaks. But this is definitely one of the first real tests of our character here. Not sure if we're actually completely prepared to be taking on yaks, but as long as we don't run out of mana, or we just manage to take out enough of these buddies with these first few Searing Rays, then never mind. We'll be totally okay. Maybe. I shouldn't say that yet. We're not out of it. There's still one yak just standing in front of us chomping away, but there we go. We made it. Now we can say it. And, ooh, another spellbook. This is a hex-based one. So again, not quite as immediately useful as maybe some of the other ones that we found earlier this run. I guess just the one in the Translocations book, but hey, it came in real handy to get ourselves the ability to at least train that skill a little bit earlier than expected. Also, IMB is down to a 3% chance to fail, so we can definitely start launching that bad boy off when needed here. I might even train a little bit more translocations. Up to 8 doesn't seem like too big of a commitment at this point. And then otherwise, I should start thinking about other training here. Oh man, this character is going to be a nightmare in terms of EXP allocation because there's just so much I want to get the ball rolling on. So, you know, maybe turn off translocations, and I'm instead going to turn on invocations because that's what I realized is another skill that we should probably get up there. It'd be nice to be able to channel mana in an emergency situation as soon as we have the ability to, at the very least. But the danger in even this, of course, is we should at some point here get some defensive skills being trained up. Otherwise, we're going to start running into problems in the mid game for sure with just getting killed a little bit too quickly. So we could go fighting for the health. Dodging is okay, but never love having evasion as your reliable defensive skill because all it takes is a few unlucky dice rolls and everything gets real scary all of a sudden. But shields is a pretty viable one. We've only found a giant shield so far, which will take a long time to get up to. But as soon as we find a buckler, that's a bit of a straightforward decision. Dare I say, a no-brainer of sorts. So, let's hope that that shows up. It would be nice just to have another bit of defense, besides having our scales for, don't get me wrong, pretty solid amount of armor class boost. There we go, take out those buddies. Making some poor decisions in terms of layout here. Just not taking full advantage of our Searing Ray, but as long as we get through the fights, I'm not worried too much about maximizing each and every single one of these attacks. Besides maybe against the occasional white here, just to prevent any draining nonsense. We need all of our skills exactly where they are right now. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. There we go. Plus 3 dagger. Oh, and we got both their attention this time. Let's run on back. And there we go. Not too bad. Even a big old white pack, something that has been very scary on our recent Ice Elementalist character, I guess a couple weeks ago. I was going to say the other week, but holy cow, how time flies. And a troll, hey? I think troll is pretty scary for this stage. I always lose a little bit of my sense of scale at this stage in the game, this kind of middle ground. Unless it's something very obviously out of the depths, then who knows, it might just be time that we're expected to be able to deal with them. But let's take this buddy on a wee bit of a walk here. Searing Ray should still do the trick here. Man, remember when whites drained actual levels in D&D? Scary. That is indeed frightening. Anytime you can lose permanent progress, especially in D&D when levels are such a huge advantage. That happening in the middle of a fight seems a little bit ridiculous for sure, I can imagine. Fortunately, my brother must not have been a fan of that mechanic, because that's the exposure I got to D&D as a kid was through my older brother. And he usually did pretty well to stick away from mechanics that weren't quite as fun. It was all about having fun. And satisfying conclusions, satisfying fights. Not to say that bad things can't happen, because bad things can and do happen. Such is the nature of RNG once again. But speaking of RNG, this run we haven't had too many scary encounters so far, which gets me quaking in my boots just a little bit for how the rest of the run is gonna go. I'm always just expecting now that our level 2 floors of S branch dungeons or sublevels are always going to be extremely scary for whatever reason. Each and every time we've been running into oftentimes multiple uniques at that stage. But hey, on the other hand, maybe this is the one time that we can defeat those odds once and for all. Take matters into our own hands. Maybe, just maybe, even though not quite literally. Take matters into our own hands. Oh, bear's a little bit scary. Oh, especially when you change. Why didn't you step here, you silly bear? Need to get those Searing Rays hit, even though Searing Ray, I think, has some ability to track targets when you auto-cast that, because I have noticed sometimes that it seems to change which squares it hits on the times where I haven't specified pathing completely. Just, I guess, something to keep in mind and maybe we'll look out for in the future, because it does make it a little bit easier to use that spell in situations where enemies take advantage of the fact that weird diagonals happen in this game. I guess any game that's square-based. pretty decent gadget shop. Condenser veins and phantom mirrors are both hot ticket items at some stage in the game. Even though, again, we're going to be splitting experience to a lot of places, so I'm not sure if it's the best thing for us to also pop evocations onto that list, but we'll see where the rest of the run takes us, and at least have them marked down just in case. I also should get around to identifying that new ring pretty quickly here. At this point, the strength ring, I guess, isn't doing nothing for us. It's nice to get a little bit of extra damage on melee attacks, I guess. But ideally, we can find something that will amplify our magic abilities, or potentially even something that works for both would be ideal, but that's getting a little bit greedy at this stage of the game. Already gone 2 artifacts much earlier than we could have possibly expected to, so I am happy with that. For sure. There we go. Yak packs, as long as we have a corridor like this, they're just going to be satisfying and easy every time. And let them walk straight into my laser beam over and over again. Ooh, ants. Scary. So let's maybe test this. Okay, that did not track, but that one I did also specify pathing a bit, maybe? One day we'll figure it out. I guess probably not, because it just usually doesn't come into play at all and doesn't matter in the end. Especially since at a certain point we will be casting Searing Ray a wee bit less. Let's check out the staff, a staff of poison. Ooh, if we could find some poison magic. And don't mind if I do. Could take Mephitic Cloud now. In fact, probably should take Mephitic Cloud. That's something super useful to have around, even if just to confuse some heavy hitters like an ogre or something. Should have it learned. Why not? But in general, I'm going to be on a strict lookout for a poison spellbook. Because ideally, if we can get something like OTR, Ignite Poison, slightly less applicable than normal just because of our nasty aptitude and fire magic, but shouldn't matter too much in terms of overall power level. I think even without really good fire training, should have a decent use case for that spell. Helps that I just love the OTR Ignite Poison combo so much. It's just so fun. Oof. Ooh. So, Troll. This is exactly the kind of situation we found ourselves in a wee bit ago with an Ogre early game. So this is where I should whip out this Kandaran's Mystic Blast, which we miscast at a 2% chance. Fantastic. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. 2% chance. There we go. It does just kill it, which I did kind of expect to happen, but even if it didn't, it would have shoved the buddy back a little bit at the very least, which is always a nice advantage to have over all these melee buddies. And apparently we're just calling the attention of a whole bunch of the level here. As long as it's just little kobolds for the rest of this. In fact, let's not even waste any more mana. Instead, let them come to us. And use our Trident here, just in case there is something a wee bit scarier hiding just behind them there. But looking good. We'll definitely pick up a Scarf here. Scarf of Repulsion. Scarf of... I thought they got rid of this. I feel like I'm conflagrating multiple things. Because it used to be this, or repel missiles, but then everyone used it, so they got rid of that. Then there's the Reflection Amulet. I haven't seen this scarf yet. I'm guessing it's new in 0.26, or I've just been crazy unlucky, lucky. I don't know where to weigh it on the scale yet, but in all my 0.25 playing over the past year or whatever. But still pretty decent. Repelling missiles. I will take that happily at this point in exchange for 1 AC. Because that saves us a little bit from some of the troubles that we've been running into here. Namely, when we run into enemies that are as effective at range as we are, things can get a wee bit sketchy. But with that, might be in a little bit of a better place. Fortunately, still no lair, which I was hoping to run into by this stage. But still not the end of the world here. Okay, that was a little bit scary. Orc Warriors are definitely something that could take us out once they get into melee range here. Ooh, a gargoyle. So yeah, this is something that's scary for us to hit at this stage of the game, right? 36 damage. It is extremely dangerous, so I'm gonna guess so. Where do gargoyles normally show up? Like, even depths? But are those the scarier gargoyles? Who will ever know? Let's let this buddy come in. Luckily, the stone arrow missed us. We'll use IMB. Oh, we're not getting the knockback, so I guess I should have specified a little bit more. The knockback, I believe, is based on the health of the enemy, and then still is a % chance regardless of that, but it's affected by the health of the enemy. So it's not always going to work, but oh my gosh. I know it's D11, and D11 is where things get a little bit scary, but oh boy, me oh my. Haven't found our orc or our lair, so don't exactly have options yet. No matter what, we're gonna have to figure this out. I'm a little bit scared. Phantom there. I guess let's do a quick little viewing on it. It's just dangerous. If it goes invisible, we can Searing Ray. Talked myself into it. Okay. Very much worth it to try for that one there. Oh, apparently scared that buddy off. There we go. And let's hope that the rest of the floor isn't always quite so scary. I don't know, maybe it is all in my head, because those situations didn't end up being quite as frightful as maybe first appeared. What a sad final store. I expected a good thing, seeing how they got rid of all their competition, but maybe this is just the final struggling shop that is on its last legs in the dungeon here. I guess with an entire generation having not made it this far in Draco the First, Draco the Second might be the first customer that the stores have seen in a long while here. We've also been running into so many lair enemies, I can't help but think that we're gonna find our lair entrance here, right? Like, you think it's gotta be. Also another gargoyle, you son of a gun. Let's go Searing Ray. It should be okay, even with potential stone arrows coming our way. Don't like this. Here we go. I guess maybe I was wrong. Oh, that might be lair actually. So let's hold off on calling anything rash, like me potentially being the slightest bit wrong about anything. Because this is totally the lair entrance. And I was a genius. Maybe? Now I'm doubting myself again. Kind of lose all credibility, I guess, when I don't keep faith in those old views. Okay. Bit of a fight of attrition here as we just keep running into more and more enemies noticing us and coming our direction. The ogre should die behind these yaks, is my guess. If not, though, things are going to get a little bit critical here. Maybe. But no, there we go. Perfect. Just as planned. Not a care in the world and not a worry on my mind. Let's keep it going. Undead things, for the most part, can just get the old whack with the Trident. Can at least run away from those bad boys. And there we go. We have confirmed that it is, in fact, entrance to lair. We're gonna freaking die, though. Let's IMB this buddy away from us. Okay, and then heard a bunch of shouts due to that noise. So immediately, we're gonna run away. Run away. I'm watching the map here just to make sure we're not running into unexplored territory, because that's not great. That's also not great that that door that was closed when we last walked through here is now open. I don't know if the ugly red thing saw me I'm guessing not though, because otherwise it would have chased me down and murdered me. So, I'll take it. There we go, got the opportunity to heal. All's well that ends well, except, oh my gosh. That's scary. I mean, we do have missile reflection, or deflection. Both, I guess. Oh gosh. Sir, didn't see you there. Oh no. IMB. Step up. Get the heck out of here. There's no reason for us to risk our lives. Let's just heal up. Pop that. Back down. Back down. Wow. Back down. And let's check out IMB's power here. Get a couple hits in, and then I guess I immediately switched to Searing Ray because we really need to kill that priest. So, Scratch showing off IMB to its full potential, I guess. One of these days. Oh, right. I guess I don't want to be right next to the Cyclops. It's not quite the same as we normally do in this game. And then let's hop on the stairs. I don't want to kill the Ice Beast because I kind of want to hit the Cyclops with my Searing Ray. Without him being able to throw rocks was the ideal situation, but I think we'll take this. Nice. Perfect. Use IMB to finish it off because IMB still does a decent chunk of damage. But okay, Orc Warrior wielding the +9 rapier of the Endless March. Vorpal and Will +1. That is a scary Orc Warrior for us. We have Mephitic Cloud. I'm curious if now's the time to bring that buddy out. Ooh, I don't want to be even accidentally next to him though, is the only issue. Oh crap, you're awake. Sir, oh, excuse me. But okay, we ended up just risking it, going for the one more channel. We were at full power Ray there, so I just wanted to focus that in, but holy cow. That is also an extremely strong weapon. I have a feeling that we're going to be using the Trident to get us through Lair and maybe the S-Branch stages of the game, but this Rapier is potentially something I might think about using for some of the endgame. Short blades in general aren't great because as soon as all your enemies start having higher armor classes, they start having a tough time puncturing through that. But the will resistance alone, especially, comparing against previous rounds we've had here and the struggles to gain any kind of willpower, we may end up using that pretty solidly throughout the kind of elves, depths, vaults sections of the game, where you start getting all the spellcasters with banishment popping into view. Not that stuff like petrifying isn't also absolutely terrifying, but it's just not quite as final and obvious, I guess, as when you get cast into the abyss at level 13 and you just know it's all downhill from there. But there we go, we're able to use IMB just a little bit to save us from taking a couple of free hits off the enemies, so that's going to be pretty much how we're using that moving forward here. And let's not go down into the dungeon. Let's wait until we potentially have some See Invisible or something before we go down below here, but fortunately we at least found our lair floor so we can pop down, get started here. Maybe we'll do some checkup on items just before doing so. Hey Brain, how's it going? Always happy to see you pop by. But yeah, let's use some identification scrolls. One on the amulet, because I'm not sure if I want to wear an Amulet of Faith with Sifmuna. She has some awesome abilities at the higher piety levels, but not a lot of abilities that we're going to be necessarily using constantly, unless we find ourselves wanting to channel magic all the time, and then that's definitely something that we can switch into in the future instead. But a magic regeneration amulet is pretty solid, helps us out a decent amount in the early game here, or early mid game, I guess. Can't really get away with that early game distinction anymore. And we also identify a ring here and find a +6 ring of intelligence. So that will switch out for the strength ring we've been wearing. And that will be pretty solid for all of our spellcasting abilities here, actually, and how much power they have as well, I think. Definitely not too shabby. Any other final things? Maybe we'll do a few more identifies here. We'll get these inky potions. Get some potions of brilliance. What background? Conjurer? Yes, indeed. You got it with that one. Started off Conjurer, and then hopefully we'll be transitioning into Ice Magic. Take advantage of our icy scales here. But it all depends on what we find moving forward. But, right, identifying, that's what we're doing. Let's get a few of these scroll stacks. Magic mapping isn't a bad one. I'd really like to identify blinking, but might be a little bit greedy this early on. Fear is also a pretty solid one, and I guess teleportation, always nice to have identified. It's a really good complete get me the heck out of here option. And with that, I'll probably hang on to our final identify scroll, just in case we find a really solid piece of weapon or armor that we want to use. Let's check out this lair, see what it holds in store for us. Of course, a Hydra right away. What better way to introduce yourselves to the area than immediately face one of the signet creatures. Signet creature. I don't think that that's actually a proper phrase whatsoever. But iconic, I guess, is the better way of going about that. Out of range of Searing Ray. Still out of range of Searing Ray. Put another dart in. Thinking gets you in that range, and then we'll IMB. It is IMB, right? Iskenderun's Mystic Blast. Yeah, perfect. Always worried I'll mix it up with IBM, which is the bank, right? I think that's a bank. But there we go. As long as we keep buddies at this kind of 2 space mark, it's not too shabby at all. Can keep knocking them back. And this is kind of why I love IMB, is as long as you're not facing enemies that have too ridiculously high of a health pool, and you don't get ridiculously unlucky as well, of course, you can kind of keep that buffer zone between you and the baddies, which is always pretty solid. Even though, even with that, we will at some point have to get some real defensive skills going. Jeez Louise, that moccasin knew exactly where we were firing our rays. Dang it, a glowing helmet, which we'll unfortunately not be able to use, but should still be okay. And a little bit of poison didn't hurt nobody. Keep it moving. First Spiny Toad of the area. Let's hope that we can take care of this. This is, I guess, another one of those highly iconic lair monsters that proves whether you're truly ready for the area or not. In fact, let's not do the Searing Ray again. Let's switch to the IMB a little bit sooner there. I've already forgotten about all the strategies that we were just talking about. The rename to Cane Toad is a little odd to me. Oh, right. Yeah, to me they'll always be the horny toads. I didn't realize actually that that was a rename. For the longest time when I read about cane toads, I thought that it was just a new lair enemy that got thrown in. But spiny toads? Now I don't even know. Are they horny? I guess they weren't horny toads because that has connotations linked into it. Were they spiny? Is that what I was just saying a moment ago? I've already completely forgotten my own word for it. Spiny, yeah. Okay, spiny was probably what I was saying too then. Oh geez, no nice hallways. Taking care of these buddies. Oh, I probably took a few too many steps in that little go there, but I also been kind of not using the main selling point here. So a few IMB blasts take care of that whole pack for us, and they don't really get the opportunity to get hits in either. So that's pretty solid. Ooh, and there's actually finally, smaller shield. So that's bringing this shield's training, or the possibility of training some shields, into focus a little bit more. Maybe we'll actually cap spellcasting at a nice 9 right now. We're doing well on mana. We're not really running out in most encounters. Magic points. So let's start training shields a bit. I might even focus it down, just because I would really like to get a shield on as soon as possible. Get a little bit more defensiveness on our side. And with that, we are done. Layer 1 here, which is pretty solid. Things are going much better on Draco II here. Unfortunately, I do have to take a quick 20-second break. I'm just going to pour some food into my dog's bowl, and then we'll be right back to continue on in Lair. Hopefully, things keep going all right. Be back in just one quick second. Okay, and I guess having done that, now I have to give an obligatory advance warning that there may be some random banging noises coming through the mic over the next little bit. Because my doggo has a little food ball with a hole in it that gives her a little bit of entertainment to roll around and get the food out of. The only issue with it being that she loves slamming it into doors. So anytime there's a closed door, she'll always just roll it against the door over and over again. So we'll see how well that comes through the mic. Not sure. Not paying the dog tax. Oh, yeah. Oh boy, this ended up being a little bit scarier here than I initially expected, but then immediately no longer the case after a couple of really solid rays. Cleans up quite nicely, but we should retreat back for the proper heal here. Hop up. And okie dokie. Trying to get my mind refocused on the game here. Even just standing up for the brief moment and walking out of the room has got my mind a-wandering. But now's not the time for dilly-dalliance like that, because trying our best to stay alive out here. Older beetle is interesting. I guess susceptible to poison, so that would mean we definitely want to Mephitic Cloud this bad boy. Do some spell casting arrangement here. Sorry, I got a little frozen there because I was trying to decide how I wanted to line the keys up here. We're gonna equals sign, adjust our spells, and just switch our blink and our Mephitic Cloud with each other. I have a few macros set up on my number keys that are along the top of my keyboard for casting these, and it's kind of risky to have blink in there because if I accidentally hit that in a bad spot, might be the last thing I do. But Mephitic Cloud, nice to have on the quick spot there. You're susceptible to poison. Why aren't you getting confused, you son of a gun? I thought that this would work. Yeah, I tend to assign stuff like blink to capital letters. Definitely, yeah, good idea, just to make sure that it doesn't accidentally get brushed. They've been doing away with a lot of spells that had that issue. Like, I know playing as the Merfolk Ice Elementalist a little bit ago, I was, that hurt a lot. And just like that, my entire brain got wiped. Right, Ice Elementalist. Frozen Ramparts used to be something that just auto-cast around you, so especially when there were no walls around you and you just wasted a turn mumbling random words of a spell. Versus now having the little target reticle and stuff definitely helps prevent nasty accidents like that. Boulder Beetle is still managing to bite us here. Hey, how fast are you? You're not that fast. Just random energy, I see. Well, didn't expect you to be the trickiest encounter we'd run into, mostly because I thought that Mephitic Cloud would do a decent amount of work for us there. But reduce its armor, see if that helps a little bit. Having the bear right behind doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence for even if we make it through this fight. But let's knock both of you back. There we go. That actually works out lovely. And then, oh look, they even swapped places. Let's just head to the stairs. Maybe I should have been paying more attention to the fact that the boulder beetle went roll in there. That could have ended a lot nastier than it did, but I'll take it. And oh boy, no longer taking it. We are going upstairs. Narrowed corridor like that, not exactly anywhere to run, so let's play it safe, shall we? And we'll in fact even just head to a different downstairs. Maybe try and come about that fight from a slightly different direction. Moto Dragon. Let's see how we do in this matchup. Not too sure how we'll fare, especially with a Spiny Toad also showing up. I don't like that very much. So let's maybe IMB right off the bat. See how that does against the Komodo Dragon damage-wise. So part of the further advantage of being able to push enemies back like this is the fact that if we're on the stairs, it's a lot easier to stair dance when you can do like a quick little shove off move and then run up at low health. So definitely something that we'll hopefully be able to take pretty decent advantage of. Until I do something stupid like that. Oh gosh. I thought we'd do slightly better, but all of a sudden, this forehead Hydra is causing us some real issues, so it had to survive just long enough to get one more point of magic back. And now we're kind of relying on knocking back, which didn't happen. So, me getting a little too cocky and confident. Giving me trouble? Like causing issues? That's weird. Normally it goes so well for me. But let's kill the Hydra for sure, because that nonsense has no place here. And then continue the fight from a point of much greater power. And ooh, didn't realize we're up at 5 pips apiece, and now we're gonna start getting gifted books from Sivmuna here. The Compendium of Harmful Calling I don't think is great for me. Oh, never mind. I was very wrong. I thought it was completely useless, but even if just for the battle sphere, which could be a pretty solid, there it is. It's blind for a moment there. Could be a pretty solid addition to us here. It's a nice little early summon that will add effects to each of your own spells, kind of amplifying the amount of damage you're getting per magic points spent, I guess. It's a nice little stepping stone on the way to the oh gosh, I'm really blanking on a lot of gameplay stuff today. You know what? We'll run into them. The other higher level summon that casts spells. I'm sure Spellforge Servitor. Dang it, I knew it was going to come to me in a second. Should have just kept burning minutes before starting to give up right as it came to. Okay, after that scary encounter, have a second lease on life, and at least this time around it's a bit more of a standard encounter. A bunch of big ol' yaks. Of course I'm ready. Oh, I was gonna say for a Hydra to show up, but it turned out it was a basilisk instead. What? And it turned me to stone before I got upstairs. I thought I did it fine. Interesting. I'm really curious how the sequence of events went there, because I thought it might have frozen me before I got off the command to go upstairs, but it was literally like I took a step, first boot on the first step, and all of a sudden turned to stone. Well, okay. I guess we're going to yet again another different stair. There we go, okay. Let's hope this one's better. Hey, that's an okay start. I think I can take on single old Spiny Frog. Maybe not though. Never a guarantee, I guess. Just keep blasting these buddies the moment they get up to us. It does create a lot of noise, but as usual has a bit of a good effect and a bit of a bad effect combined. Sometimes it's nice to draw enemies to you at the stairs where you're safe. Other times you really don't want to be calling more attention to you wherever you are. But let's switch over to some manual clicking. Let's stay away from that Hydra for the time being, even though I immediately regret the decision just for the case where we accidentally forget about it and run into it in a much worse situation in the future. Because as long as I have full mana and I'm not quite as stupid as that last time, we should be okay, right? Yeah, we'll be fine, I'm sure. It's too bad the Mephitic Cloud doesn't work on them. That would give me a nice bit of leeway in this encounter for sure. Let's get a few turns of Searing Ray, IMB. A couple turns of Searing Ray. You know what? I think that loop would have done okay for us. Why not snap learning Freezing Cloud? What do you have against accidentally self-nuking? You know, you have a point there. For sure, have a point there. But in all honesty, I don't actually have much experience with Freezing Cloud, so I don't truly know too much about the dangers of which you speak, which probably leads to us further, or being an even worse idea for me to pick this up. But now that you've put it in my head, I don't know. We have a Pip of RC. We have a Ring of RC as well. Could always go for the nuke the entire area and just outlive the enemy strategy. It's not a great one, but it sometimes works, right? And are you gonna start rolling, buddy? Apparently not. Apparently just... Oh, I spoke too soon. So IMB could work, but I think instead here we're gonna go for a blink and then an IMB, which did seem to knock him back, and then he gained the same amount of ground. Because I want to just keep teleporting, right? How is he changing directions? I didn't think that they could do this. That's so impressive and unfair. Blink again. You know what? I think I just have to IMB. At some point here. Oh gosh. Oh no. Called the attention of some yaks now, though. Stop. Slow your roll. Oh no. I thought that plant would stop him, but apparently it just rolls right through it. I wonder if they keep gaining momentum. I think they do up to a certain point. I'm hoping changing directions, though, prevents that. Now that you mention it, that's a really good point. No, okay, I think just tremendous speed and double damage. Okay. Maybe not quite that bad. It's old school air elementalist. It fills a certain volume of space, so in a room it's a fireball. In a corridor, well cast carefully. But with enough RC... Okay, I immediately understand the dangers, or the implications of the danger for that. It's quite scary. But also, what the heck do I do with this beetle? I thought if I got it to reverse directions, it would stop rolling. But as is, anytime these things start rolling, they just could murder us in one hit, right? Don't love that. So... I do want to take care of him somehow, so maybe we'll save our mana just for blinks. He's like a wand of acid. That's not exactly going to do it. Maybe net it. That is, I think, the right call here. So we're going to blink away. Oh, snap. Horrible blink right next to it. We just got lucky. But there we go. It's off to rolling again. Unfortunately, I just... wanted to start running at this point. I have no idea where that beetle's gonna pop out of... There it is. Okay. There we go, though. Much better. We'll even fight on the stairwell here for just a wee bit. See if we can't take out a few of these yaks. And... am I happy? Yeah, let's just take one up. I'm happy with that. Very much so, after seeing how much damage it can do in a few turns. But the net is the right answer. We only have one, and it's not a guarantee to hit by any means. But either netting it or trying to just keep the fight contained to a small area like this one here should help out. Especially, right, if we can just get some hits in, we're okay. Because that poison will do ridiculous amounts of damage. Right, that's much better. Turns out the answer is just don't fight it in the environment that it thrives most in, a wide open arena. But I guess I did learn something about the boulder beetles and their ability to instantly reverse inertia completely and change directions, which is definitely something that could end a run, not knowing. So I'll take that as a victory on its own here. And let's just blow through all these bad boys. IMB is really solid for getting through, yeah, most of these lair enemies, again, as long as I remember to use it. And I guess keep an eye on where we're sitting magic points wise. In fact, on that idea, wanted to check our invocations here. I'm kind of curious. Channel magic is down to 7%. That's not too bad. Because that is something that can save us in a pinch for sure. And divine exegesis, there we go. Exegesis. I was trying to think if there were any other ways to pronounce it, but exegesis I think is fine. I'll go with that. My brain can't support any others right now. Just shutting down. But down to 38%, so that's slowly but surely getting to the point where we'll be able to reach into our back pocket and throw out pretty much anything at this point. We're already getting a pretty solid collection going in terms of our spellbook there. Okie dokie. Jeez, all of a sudden, I was fine for like all the streams so far, for talking a decent amount and never taking my drink, but the second I thought to myself about how dry my throat was getting, of course, that's when it starts to actually be noticeable for me. Funny how the human brain works like that. What a pain in the butt. But we've at least figured out how to deal with Hydras to a certain extent. Got a little bit scary at the end there as they kept closing the distance, but still to some degree we figured out the strategy. And let's keep this snack buddy off of us as well, because that's a bit of a sketchy one. We've reached our target of 8 for invocations, but I'm actually going to pop it right back on. Because seeing exegesis there, dang it, I said it again. Exegesis. Maybe that's what I was going for before. Anyway, seeing it in our list of options here just got me thinking that we should get that sooner rather than later. Because there are quite a few spells that we can find in the dungeon here that are instant run saving panic buttons, I guess. Best way I can